In this video, you'll learn how to implement impact radius tracking for Shopify via Google Tag Manager and or Elevar's server-side tracking. If you have your impact radius tech integration plan, then this should only take a few minutes to get up and running. There are 3 or 4 steps required to go live depending on your decide to go server-side. And they are step number 1, installing the Elevar data layer to use with Google Tag Manager. Step 2 will be implementing your your impact radius pre-built container if you're using the GTM web container, or you'll implement the impact radius server-side tracking via the Elevar admin, and then just testing and going live. So let's walk through each one of these steps. The first step, as I mentioned, is installing the data layer, which is going to populate various events across your store. So things like product views, add to carts, purchases, etc. This populates the data layer that ultimately Google Tag Manager is going to use in different tags that impact radius needs. If you need to implement consent mode tracking, so OneTrust or CookieBot, you can enable these flags inside the data layer and follow these steps to ultimately ensure that your impact radius tracking is compliant if you need to be with any of your compliance providers. Once you've installed the data layer on your store, then you can put GTM into preview mode and you'll be able to see the different events populated across your store. What you're looking at here are 3 events that have already been imported into my GTM web container, and they are all pre-configured. You'll see the impact radius script here that ultimately if you decide to go client-side tracking, you'll see this is implemented or shown in the tech integration plan, and you'll see all of the variables are set to what impact expects. You don't need to change anything here. You just will download and import from the Elevar app into your GTM container. So let's just take a look at our client-side tracking real quick here. So with impact radius, you'll go to your pre-built tags and enter your base tag ID and conversion ID that impact provides. Now, one note about the UI here, we are actually combining our pre-built tags, which is for the Google Tag Manager web container, and our server-side destinations into one unified view. So depending on when you are watching this video, you might see everything combined into one step. So now that we're on the server-side step, if you decide to go server-side tracking with impact radius and implement your conversion API tracking with impact, you actually do not need to use your web container or import any tags. So I would go through the process with your team and impact and decide whether you want to implement client-side tracking, or if you want to implement server-side tracking. You don't need to run them in parallel like you do with Facebook, TikTok, and other channels. It's one or the other, and most of our customers that have the ability to are implementing all server-side tracking with impact radius because, frankly, you save one piece of JavaScript from running on your site and you maintain essentially 100% conversion accuracy. So let's walk through the step here under the Elevar fully managed server-side tracking for impact radius. Pretty simple. These are a few questions just noting what transaction identifier, what product identifier, and then any channels that you'd want to block in sending orders to impact. With Elevar's server-side tracking, you can send orders from every channel that comes with your store. So draft orders, point of sale, any third-party app that creates orders outside of the online store. These are all orders and transactions that can be sent with our server-side tracking. Or you can choose to block these, and Elevar will not send these purchases to any of these destinations, and specifically to impact radius. Once you are live and you've entered your various account IDs that again you'll get from your tech integration plan or follow our docs, then you can actually go through the process of placing an order on your store, and inside the Elevar real-time activity to help you QA, we'll actually show you orders that will come through and are ultimately sent to each of your destinations. So once we see that order was placed, you can actually go down to our destinations log and you'll see that this transaction was sent and received by impact radius. If there was an error or a failure, you would see this noted as a failed event. So that is the last step in the process. Again, number 1, install the data layer on your store. Number 2, decide whether you want to go client-side tracking or server-side tracking. Number 3, if you do decide to go to server-side tracking, which we recommend and Impact does as well for accuracy, then just configure inside your Elevar dashboard, and then finally place an order through the Impact recommended QA process, and you can validate in the Elevar dashboard that order comes through. If you have any questions, let us know, and good luck setting up Impact Radius tracking with your Shopify store.